Hi, it's Amazing Alnita. In case you're wondering where's Nita now, I am actually on a drive. My daughter warned me against recording while I was driving. She said people get upset about that. Um, and I want you to know that I am being very careful and on a straight way. And I guess this is the equivalent of having a conversation. Today is December 17th, 2024. And I just left my chiropractor's office. And I was talking to her. First of all, I realized it's the end of the year. Well, I know it's the end of the year, but I didn't realize that Christmas Eve is a week from today. But originally, my pacemaker surgery was scheduled for today. And when I realized, I was like, whoa, whoa, that's all I could say was whoa, because this has been a journey. I was talking to my sister yesterday, and we were talking about this past year. And she was like, well, what has been remarkable about this past year? And I told her because I said, well, it's been a remarkable year. And I was like, basically, duh, I got a pacemaker. She's like, well, besides the pacemaker. And I said, this has been a year of growth and change. And I was trying to start this podcast on December 2nd, which would have been my 2 month pace anniversary, but I did not get to do that. And so I've had my pacer, my ticker kicker. I've been bionic now for 2.5 months. And this would have been the initial day. And I think back to the recovery from October 2nd into now. The way I ended up with my pacemaker on October 2nd is that I started getting more symptomatic, and I went to a doctor's appointment, and they had me go to the emergency room, and I ended up in the hospital for a week while I awaited my pacemaker. The problem is I was having pauses. My heart was pausing. The longest was 5.2 seconds, and it was increasing in frequency. I did not know until I came back from out of town in August that I needed a pacemaker. My nurse practitioner, Kelly, she called me several times. And although I am a pretty cool chick, let me tell you, people love talking to me. It's never a good sign, I realize now, when your medical team keeps calling you like every couple of days, making sure that you're okay. And she tried to get me to come back from LA. I was in LA taking some training classes, train the trainer, master practitioner classes, master hypnotist, master success coach. And I was like, no, but I'm in LA. And she's like, okay, well, if you feel like you're going to get dizzy, if you feel like you're going to pass out, you have to go to the emergency room. And I was like, okay, I could do that. The first time I kind of blew it off. Then she called me again, and it was like, whoa. So I did not realize that I was having more frequent incidents. And then she wanted me to come in and to schedule this thing, but I have a cruise that's scheduled for 2 weeks. And I was like, well, can I just do this in February after I get back from the cruise? And she sent me a message and was like, I've given you, I've laid it out for you. I've told you exactly what is, where we're at. This is a matter of life and death. And I think she thought I was blowing her off. I was not blowing her off. I remember when the guy came in to interrogate my device, my loop recorder, I was talking to him, almost pleading my case. And I was saying, well, do you think I can make it into February? He looked at me, he said, I hope you can make it to February. And I was like, oh, so when she said this was 4 weeks after when I first found out that I needed a pacemaker, a pacer. She when I came back, and Kelly was amazing. She said, "You need a pacemaker." I said, "I wanted to feel like I want to cry." She said, "Before you cry, hear me out." And I was like, oh, she's like, you know, there are people that have pacemakers that go on to run marathons and, you know, they do this and they do that. She's like, there are only two things that you can't do. Because I immediately, you know, I was playing taps. I was like, okay, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. No more microwaves. And some people would argue and say, you shouldn't have a microwave anyway. I'm for convenience. But she said, no, that's not true. The only two things you can't do is you can't weld. And I satisfied that with my daughter because we welded a piece of sculpture. And she's like, and then the other thing is you cannot use a jackhammer. I was like, dang it, there it goes, there goes my bucket list. But turns out that that she's right. You know, getting a pacemaker, it doesn't it okay initially it impacts your life. It impacts your life because of the recovery. I didn't expect the recovery to be so difficult. I didn't expect to be so tired because before I got the pacemaker, I was not extremely symptomatic. I was not, you know, although I was having the pauses, I was not having the physical symptoms. I was not out of breath or anything like that. And I just went back recently for my checkup and I said, well, I didn't I didn't get a pacemaker to have a life now where I'm struggling to live. You know, meaning struggling to have the energy to do this, struggling to have the energy to do that, blah, 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 blah. So they made some adjustments, and I think the adjustments made a difference. Like some people talk about having weather indicators. I think I have a ticker indicator because if my heart rate goes above 80, um, I get hot. If it goes above 100, I start sweating. So it's kind of funny for that to be the case. You know, if I had it my way, I would not have a pacemaker. We're stopped right now. I would not have a pacemaker. You know, I think the hope in life is to escape life with minimal invasive modifications, right? But if I had to have a pacemaker, and I did, I have the most amazing medical team. Dr. Bumgarner, Rex, North Carolina Heart and Vascular, uh, my nurse practitioner, Kelly, who kept advocating for my life. And she finally got my attention when she said, I spend 20 minutes a day on your case. There are a lot of people behind the scenes that are trying to keep you alive. It wasn't that I wasn't hearing her before, because I know when she was first telling me about the pacemaker, I told her that, oh, well, I'm going salsa dancing tonight. And she was like, please tell me you're kidding. And I wasn't. But it turns out I didn't go salsa dancing that night. But Kelly has fought for my life, not when I wasn't fighting for my life. I just I just had all of these other plans. And she's like, you're right, you have a long life to live. We just have to make sure you're around to do that. And you know, I'm gonna tell you what's kind of interesting. Before I fully realized I needed the pacemaker, my granddaughter, we were at my daughter's friend's house, and I noticed that my granddaughter kept coming in the room. She came in the room several times throughout the night. And what she'd say is, I have to go and make sure that Fata's okay. She would open the door, she would stand there for a few seconds, and then she would close the door. And I didn't realize she was going and telling her mom this. And she's like, well, Fata's okay. She calls me Fata. She's like, Fata's okay. And then she'd go on and she'd keep playing. So it's like even without knowing, my baby knew something was wrong, something, we needed to keep a watch on my heart. And I guess the thing is, you know, is it scary a little bit? I mean, but I think it's kind of cool. Like I said, I'm bionic. And people that have this, they go and they say they're very quick to pull out and show their scars. It's almost like a badge of honor, right? It's like, yeah, it's like we're scar carrying members. And but sometimes you need a little bit of help to stay alive, right? I think the biggest thing for me is that you really, there were people who were like, well, it sounds like they're trying to convince you that you need this. And if I had not been feeling stuff myself, then I would have maybe been inclined to maybe think that. But like Kelly said, they don't have to sell these. They're doing these every day. There are lots of people who need them, and that's not the way they operate. Because if they could have walked away after the EP study, the electrophysiology study, without having to put a pacemaker in me, they would have. A defibrillator was on the table as well, but they couldn't trigger the death rhythms that they had seen before that really got them concerned about me. So I don't need a defibrillator. But it's really funny that throughout all of my notes, all of the patient's notes, you keep seeing patient insists she has a strong heart, patient insists she has a strong heart. And when they went in and did the MRI, they were able to confirm that I do have a strong heart, which is really cool. And I believe that that's why I didn't pass out. I believe that that is why I didn't get dizzy, and I thank God that that was the case, that it didn't go down like that, that I didn't have a situation where I passed out and hurt myself. Although, um, although in the past, y'all know, I don't know if you ever recall, but I fell. I fell at a train station, and I fell down a flight of stairs, and it was me and my suitcase, and we are tumbling and tumbling and tumbling and tumbling. And then I fell a second time in an intersection, and that doctor, she asked me, she was like, well, wait a second, how did you fall, what happened before you fell? Because she said that my fall was not consistent with knowing I was going to fall, that there was going to be a trip. So perhaps this is something that has kind of been rearing its head for more than a year now, because my heart, let me tell you the crazy thing. The battery on my loop recorder has started running out. And I asked the guy, I said, well, can you tell me how long this loop recorder will last? How long the battery will last? Because they said, well, we're going to change your loop recorder out for a pacemaker. And I was kind of hesitant about saying yes. So he's like, I could tell you exactly how long it's going to last. But before he started, he said, oh, you've had a lot of episodes. This is all of the stuff that got me to say yes. So when he goes in and he starts fiddling around with everything, he said, your battery started dying on August 28th. I was like, what? August 28th is my birthday. I'm like, of all of the days for the battery to start dying, right? That got my attention also. And the funny thing is, it wasn't until like the last 6 months that my loop recorder started picking up these pulses. So if my battery had died completely, we would have thought that there were no more issues. And I never would have known. So the beauty of the loop recorder is it gave me a heads up. It gave me a warning. Um, it gave me an opportunity to be proactive and to make sure that I'm here to live this life that I love living. They were telling me when I was in the hospital initially, they asked me if I had an advanced directive, and I said no. They said, okay, well, if anything happens, do you want us to revive you? I said, absolutely. I said, I want you to do everything, every single thing. And I said, and if it doesn't work, do it again. So we did have one situation right before, the day before, no, 2 days before I got my pacemaker, where all of a sudden the energy, I think a lot of people were sending me energy and praying and all of this other good stuff. And as soon as I got off the phone on this call, because we were doing a call for this book that I just wrote, Inner Revolution, innerrevolutionbook.com, which is now an international bestseller. I was on there and I said, well, y'all, whatever your modality, please send it. And as soon as I hung up the phone, uh, they called a crash cart because my pulse rate just went through the roof, sky high, and I'm watching the people watching me, and they're putting a pat on my chest, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, wait a second, are you about to shock me? And they were like, yes, and I was like, no. My thing was I didn't want any temporary corrections. If my heart was going to be okay, it was going to heal. That's one thing, because I still believe that I can spontaneously heal, but I didn't want it to be artificially fixed. So I was like, no way. But I ended up with the chest pads, and all I could think of, oh, this is really, really going to hurt. I am grateful that we didn't have to use that. We didn't have to resort to that. But I am also grateful for the technology that allows my heart, my strong beating heart with the messed up electrical signals, to beat when it doesn't. Like my friend said, it's like, well, Nita, you're missing your downbeat. And that's exactly it. I was missing my downbeat. And I am now thankful and grateful that I have a rhythmic downbeat. All right. Well, anyway, I will talk to you later. I just remember, if you have to get some intervention, there's nothing wrong with that. It's better to have the intervention and to be here than to do nothing and and to miss out on the incredible possibilities. That's the thing. You deserve good things. You deserve this incredible life. You deserve it. That's it. Point blank, period. All right. I'm gonna get off the phone. I'm not off the phone. I'm gonna get off of this I'm going to get off of this. I'm going to get off of this podcast. This is going to be my initial podcast. I just, I have lots of things that I turn around and I think about. I don't even know what the name of this one is going to be. Uh, I just thought I'm thankful that did not have the surgery today, because had I had the surgery today, then I would have been there trying to recuperate, and I don't believe I would have been able to go to my cruise that's coming up. Um, yeah, I don't think I would have been able to go to it. So I am glad. I am thankful. I'm thankful for an incredible medical team. Not everybody is as fortunate. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the people that look out for me, that support me, that encourage me. I just want you to know, a diagnosis is just information. It's information that puts you in a situation that allows you to make the best possible decision so that you can maximize whatever you have left. Remember, nobody knows, but it did make me start thinking about my legacy. And I have so many things that I want to share with y'all, not just about this. I do want to add that people often think, when it comes to women, when they think about things that kill women, they think the number one killer of breast cancer. That's not true. The number one killer of women is actually heart disease. And I remember, everything is so important to me that while I was in the hospital, I called the American Heart Association so that I could volunteer, because I want that there are options that out there. And I was like, well, a lot of times when people have a heart attack, then they become, when they have a heart attack, their whatever date the heart attack is, that becomes their new birthday. I didn't have a full out heart attack or heart failure. And I told the lady, I said, I don't even know if I'm considered a survivor. And she was like, well, yes, you're a survivor. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. So I just want to put the word out there that you can have a strong heart. You can have no high blood pressure. You can have no high cholesterol. You could have no diabetes and still be in need of intervention, whether it's a pacemaker, a defibrillator, whether it's medication. I just want you to know that it's important to make sure that not only do you get the information, but you act upon it, okay? All right, y'all stick around, y'all hang out. The other calls are the other podcast or webcast won't be probably as serious, but sometimes they will. But this was important stuff. I just wanted to make sure that people know we owe it to ourselves to take care of ourselves because life is truly worth living. Um, I don't care. I don't care what's happened. There's always something amazing around the corner waiting to happen. And, if it hasn't happened to you, maybe you're the person that's meant to make that happen. Okay, so hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. And no matter what, make sure you shine your light, sugar. This is Amazing Alnita. I'm calling to say, hey, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.